Good morning. This is Lisa Chipetine here with Meet the Artist, and today I have my buddy Barb McKie in Connecticut. And Barb has been a artist for a very, very long time. So Barb, can you give us a little bit of background about how you got into the quilting or fiber arts medium?
Well, in 7th grade, which was a huge long time ago, I learned how to sew. I loved it so much that I started making all my own clothes and always making something a little bit different. And then when we got our first house in 1971, we had 4 bedrooms. So I started making things for the bed, using my own designs, because back then there really were not very many how-to books, if any. And I had a very modern house and liked modern things, so I just made my own designs even back then. So I quit and went into computer science. Was kind of on the bleeding edge of the personal computer revolution. Then by 1993, I no longer had a job, and what do I go back into? What I loved all the time, that's quilting.
Now let me ask you, Barb, do you have any formal art training degrees or anything like that?
Not a degree such as that, but we live just about 2 miles from the Lyme Art Academy. I took some drawing classes, some design and color and composition classes, and in a very, very traditional school, I had a teacher for the design and composition course who was very flexible, and she let me do a lot of my assignments, weekly assignments, in the form of quilting, do commentary. And I found that I just kind of had a natural sense, design and composition, and of course, trained me as well, but that's kind of my formal training.
Now, Barb, your technique, and stop me if I'm wrong here, but if I remember correctly, you do a lot of work on the computer, and then you will do printing out on fabric and paint on top of silk. Is that correct?
Yes. I've taken quite a few surface design courses, not so much quilting courses, but surface design courses, and incorporate those kinds of things together with my computer fabrics. And more I am doing a lot of thread painting with animals that I did a lecture locally about this baboon and her baby, kind of the first real animal quilt. I've done a lot of birds, but not so much animals. And I wanted to do a little bit so I did a little bit on that. And one of the people suggested I name it Mommy and Me. and that just started the whole thing in my head. I've got to do animal relationship kind of quilts. And they got more and more thready as they went along.
Well, I love all of your pelican quilts. They're my favorites. So.
Oh, yes, I've done a lot of them.
Now, what is the quilt that's behind you? I see that you've got something behind you right now. Can you show us what that is?
Well,
yes.
It's a mandarin duck that I did, and it's got a lot of thread painting on part of it, too. But
how do you print that wide, Barbara?
I have a printer that prints 17 theoretically 17 inches wide. That's the width of the paper, by however long I want. But my rate limiting thing is that I have the process I use, which it prints the printed image to polyester using a heat press. And so the heat press, which is 16 by 20, is kind of my rate limiting size. So I will divide my image up into proportions like that, overlapping, and then I have a puzzle that I do to put them all together and cut them and fuse them together, and then try to hide where it's overlapped. So like for example in here, there's, I don't know if you can see it.
Hold her up for me.
There's an overlap there. But a lot of times the main animal is the rate limiting step of how big I can go. But now that I'm thread painting, I can cover all that up. So sometimes I can get bigger now.
Now, Barbara, I know that you sell a lot of your work, and you exhibit a tremendous amount. I know that both you
Yes,
and
I do.
are members of Fiber Revolution, so you exhibit a great deal. Do you teach a great deal?
I do not teach, but I do lecture locally. That is kind of between in New England.
Okay.
Let's say.
What do you think was the defining moment for you when you said, "I am an artist"?
Whoa. I don't know.
Was there a point where you
when I started back in again, and that started entering quilt shows in 1996, for example, was the first time I got into the International Quilt Festival, and somebody thinks I'm an artist, so I guess I better think so myself.
Now, do you have a specific subject in your animals that's your absolute favorite to work on?
I mean, obviously, I like pelicans.
Yes.
And birds, but lately it's been squirrels. In fact, just before we started talking, I was looking out, and we actually had 6 squirrels going around chasing each other in the backyard, and I've been taking pictures of them for future quilts, and we put up a corn feeder for them, so they're gnawing away. And I've got some really cute things, but I just working on finishing one that was a desert squirrel out in Arizona near Glen Canyon. I was in the parking lot while Jim, who has a lot more energy than I do, my husband, hiked to the big bend of the Colorado River, and this little squirrel just kept me entertained the whole time. He's going, oh, and of course Jim had the camera, so I was frustrated.
Right.
But fortunately, the squirrel stuck around until I got back, and so I got a picture that now he's kind of doing push-ups, and so I'm working on that. One of my guys from the backyard, I got him in a pose where he looks like he's about ready to start a race, on your mark. So that's what I was going to call it, on your mark. Because he's kind of like, and so I made a kind of a starting line across. And so he's going to be the next guy I'm working on.
Now but what you've made a point that's important here, and that is that you take your own photographs and you develop your quilts from your personal photographs.
Absolutely, yes. A couple of times I've done small commission people that pick things for other people based on their animals, and so I've used their images, but I've never entered those in shows or anything. Mostly it's my own images.
Now, Barbara, where is your next exhibition? Where can we see your work?
The very next one, same time, the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival is having a special exhibit of my nature quilts, and there's about 37 or 38 of my quilts that'll be at the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival, which is the 24th to the 27th of February.
Well, Barb, I want to thank you for interviewing with me today, and definitely give us a ping when you're ready to show us our new squirrel quilt. I'm dying to see it.
Okay.
And thank you very much.